Hello. Today's guests on CEOs Reflect are Radouane and Doron from the CEO Collaborative Forum, and we're going to be talking about ChatGPT and its impact on businesses. So, as CEOs, this is going to be our viewpoint on how our organizations should use or might reflect on this technology. I'm Tony Wood from CEO Collaborative Forum, and let's hear CEOs Reflect. So I wanted to come first of all to you, Radouane. Tell me just a little bit about why this subject interests you.
The ChatGPT, why interests me? Because I think it's achieved something really phenomenal. I think it will definitely change many areas from research to innovation to technology. And I think we have to be, and there's also the curiosity. I'm really curious generally about any new technology.
Interesting. And Doran, yourself?
I share the curiosity. I have a bit of a different view on that. I'm a scientist and entrepreneur, and I've been familiar with artificial intelligence since the 1970s, and I see this as a gradual improvement. Although ChatGPT now is, for me, very much at the point where Google was when they introduced something that was a search machine that fulfills its promise, and I think ChatGPT can do more, and we will be using this in the future a lot. There's also been a bit of marketing about that, so they released it in a way that very fast, very many people began to use it. That's clever. Other than that, it's not basically tools that haven't been there before. They're just critically improved in a way that we now will all want to use them in the future.
So where do we start with this? What advice would you give CEOs whose organizations are starting to go, hey, we can use this for marketing, and you know what, we can use this for writing our articles, writing our legal letters, tidying up content, tidying up code? Where do you start?
I think it's an excellent tool, and people will be using this naturally because it's just productive. And the strongest suit for me is the fact that all of us do things that are suboptimal. And here's a tool that will streamline the stuff that we do. We write small pieces, or we write job ads or stuff like that, and here's a tool that will optimize it in a way that we don't will not want to not use this anymore. We will have to use it.
That's interesting. We'll have to use it. Rad, what what
Yeah.
what do you think? How do you find people should use it?
I think, first of all, I mean, just want to come that it's true that in terms of AI, this is incremental. But what has been done generally the last few years in terms of text generation is impressive, and it looks like a human. So whatever we want to say, and where does it have to start? It has to start in curiosity. Because if you are not willing to be curious, if you are not willing to learn, you're not going to do it. I mean, as Deming used to say, learning is not compulsory, neither is survival. If we don't want to learn, but it's okay. So that's the first thing. And that's for me the first advice is to be a learner. The second, I think it's definitely have to separate the tasks. So maybe actually the innovative part is not into the text generation. Maybe it's in something else. And we should not see the ChatGPT or these tools as competitor, but they are actually helpers. They are assistants. And as long as the first thing is, and we have still to learn. when it comes, for example, to producing a publication or producing an RFP or even code, that actually may be the part that is we thought that it is the most innovative, the one that we want to protect as a human because we believe that's the human part. Well, actually, it's not as that complex. And this is what ChatGPT has taught us, is that, hey, we believe that this part can only human do it. Well, no, maybe actually it's not. It's not as complex as we thought. And we should focus on something else, on more the emotional, more the intuition, more the other stuff. And actually the tools can even guide us into more our intuition. So it will be more collaboration between these tools and human rather than competition.
I very much agree. In biology and biochemistry, I see a lot of seemingly very complex forms that turn out to be, from this point of view of biology, turn out to be simpler than we think. For us, they look complicated, while they seem very simple and natural. And some of the things that we deem uh, um, the pinnacle of our culture may be simpler than we think, and maybe may be that tools can help us with them because they're more basic than we think, and we will use tools for doing that. We use tools like Google to search things, and we're not ashamed of searching things to the end of the planet because they're available via Google, and this is perfectly fine. We don't need to go to libraries anymore. We don't need to have all the wisdom because we have the wisdom at hand. The same is going to be true for technical tools like ChatGPT to solve things that we find out they're not our creativity, they're not our humanism, and if we find things that seem to be our humanism, maybe we need to rethink the concept.
Interesting. So, um, wow. So this isn't really so much a technology as it is a cultural shift in what it means to be human.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Phew.
It is a social and yeah, definitely. This is a social impact. This is not only just about economy, it's going to disrupt. And that's not only about ChatGPT. That's the whole AI. This is a disruptive technology that will disrupt society and economy. And again, we should. I'm not going into all this aspect that humanizes because we're not there yet. But I think we have to rethink. We have to rethink, especially our education system, because if we keep teaching our kids to compete against robots, they're already lost it. So we have
Right.
and that's why, and it starts from there, because you're asking where the CEOs have to think about it. Well, of course they have to teach their kids to think differently. It's the whole education system and ourselves. I'm not competing against robots. I am working with them. I'm trying to use them, and I want to say I am. That's the spirit, and therefore we have to focus somewhere else.
Wow. So this is an education issue. This falls right into the CEO's complete remit, educating, leading the people, leading the culture of the company. So I mean, this is a massive shift. I mean, and this has happened like that overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, literally from nothing to tens of millions. What? I mean, how is there any kind of like bits of advice you could give a CEO for learning this beyond curiosity?
I think beyond curiosity is definitely going to understand the fundamentals,
Mhm.
and again, also even the fundamentals of AI, cutting the hype, because today is ChatGPT, tomorrow there will be another technology. So going
Yeah.
basic to what is AI and understand that AI are actually nothing more, nothing less than predictive machines. And therefore, where do predictive machines have the most impact is in decision making. And therefore, we have to separate again the task of what is decision making, because this is going to impact their job. Because they are supposed to be decision making and taking people, the CEOs. And we separate the prediction from the judgment. So far, the judgment is still human, because judgment is about payoff. So, and use this as a predictive machines. And there's getting into the technology necessarily, not just being as a simple user. Because that's me, and that's when I talk about curiosity, is understanding that actually what are the fundamentals. Because when you look into ChatGPT, the technology behind is very simple. These are really simple elements, but there are millions of that simple element, and there will be billions of simple elements. And this is not going to be used only in text. It's going to be used in many areas. So that's for me. Yeah, there are a lot of some good articles that start to come. So I think we should read about them, and I think this is also something that we could do in COCF, is gather these papers, these documents, comment them, and come and present them. And that's for me the first thing I think is cutting the hype and separating what is hype, what is serious.
It's very similar to what we do in ChatGPT. We interact in a way that where we can find our answers within ourselves, which we already have, we already know, but we need this interaction. This is also, by the way, also what we do in COCF, where we interact for the purpose of interacting. We cannot do it while sitting in our offices and talking to ourselves. We need to explicitly word out things and then find what we actually already knew. So I think it is a very valuable tool, just because it's a chatting tool.
Wow.
But the information behind the chatting tool hasn't dramatically changed. It's the same information.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. So,
I mean, just to add something on this one, because actually, so far, I think ChatGPT or these categories of technique, what we call LLM, large language models, they're actually more fluent than factual, and this is because it's their design. This is the way how they are designed, because they're looking actually for patterns and statistical patterns. So they are more focusing on the style. So we should not trust everything they say, but the style is close to human, and it's impressive. And I think that's probably the part that is impressive, not that's independent. Is it true or not? That's a different question.
Via a chat that's human-like, and this I very much agree with Radouane.
Goodness. So any final words of advice? Because this is, I mean, obviously I would love to have you back to talk, maybe to break down some of the things that we've talked about. So I'm going to cheekily ask you now, is that something you can do, Doron and Radouane? Awesome. Thank you very much. That's very cheeky of me to do that on there. Okay. So any final words? Any final words from you, Doron?
Use it a lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
and find out whether it pleases you.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. And Radouane?
Yeah, I would say exactly the same. If you haven't already used it, start using it. If you are using it, keep using it, and then also correcting some of the facts. That's how it will be corrected.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you both very, very much. And thank you for listening to CEO Reflects. And hopefully we'll come back with Radouane and Doron to talk more about ChatGPT and how to use these technologies as a CEO and a leader. Doron, thank you. Radouane, thank you.